Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first episode of Relatics What's New in this new year, 2025. Now, for me, being back in the studio is being like coming home, really. But for those who are new to the webinar series, let me reframe real quick. Here in this webinar series, we present you with the newest features and improvements to the Relatics software that our development team has to offer. And I'm not alone here in the studio. I am also joined here by my expert colleagues, Martin Dijkstra and Ruben Tucker. Now, last year, we introduced some very powerful features such as graph view, back in time, and templating. And I have some great news because we will just continue at the very same tempo as last year. Now, if you're curious about what we have presented in the past, do not worry. We upload all our episodes on YouTube, so you can just view them at your own tempo afterwards as well. Now, one thing that is different from last year is the way we handle viewer questions. You'll still be able to send in your questions via the chat, be it in English, be it in Dutch. You can try other languages, but I cannot guarantee we will be able to answer them. But instead of answering them live on stream, we will have our other experts backstage that will answer the questions for you in the chat. Now, with that being said, without further ado, let's look back at one of the functionalities that we introduced last year, being templating, because templating is a very powerful feature that helps you standardize your ways of working across all of your projects. And our development team has actually made it even more powerful. So, Ruben, let's start with you. Can you tell us what has been added to the templating feature?
Yeah, sure. So our developers have actually improved the template feature or working with templates so that it requires even less effort to implement or to maintain for the power user. If you want to know all the ins and outs about how working with template really works or how the feature works inside the software, please look at our previous webinar from the end of last year. But as a consultant, I'd like to work with an example. So let's say I am a power user that is maintaining a template for my company, and I want to publish a new version of the template. You might gather from that it could be quite of a difficult task to get an up-to-date list of everything that changed since the last version. Let's say that the last version was a long time ago. Or another example, let's say that you are maintaining a template with multiple power users. So you did not do all the work in the template. Then it would be a very large task or a very large thing to do to get that updated list of everything that's changed in the model or in the workspace. So what our developers did is they solved this issue by creating auto-generated change logs. And I would like to show you how that works in Relatics. So we'll move to the software. So let's say I am in my environment and I am the power user that maintains the development workspace on which the template is based. So I want to publish a new template version. Now, before we start, I move into the workspace. Let's move back, by the way, because you can see the actual icon for templates has changed as well, just one small change. But if I go into the workspace and I look at my model, I look at my elements, what I actually want to do is look at templates. So you can find your templates right here at the bottom. You can go to your templates, and I'll just widen that view a bit. As you can see, we already have a version 1.0 and a version 1.1. And what I want to show you is how that change log works. So this is the new look and feel for templates in a development workspace or in the workspace on which the template is based. And as you can see, you have your template version when it was created, and you have your description, but the new part is the change log on the right side. And this is actually an auto-generated change log that shows you everything that's been deleted in the model, everything that's new in the model that has been changed, any notes for the power user or the users. And I like to make a difference between the description and the change log, because the change log is more of a functional, kind of like functional note telling you what has changed per row. And that leaves your description as more of a a type description by the power user where they can give changes to the process. So you have your process changes in the description and your functional changes in the change log. But of course, I said that it was auto-generated. So let's make a new version of the template, make some small additions to the model. So in this case, I want to expand stakeholder management. So I'm going to add an element meeting to the model. So let's just pick an icon, shouldn't be too hard. Create a new element meeting, drag it to the bottom right here, add a new relation. So let's say to the person, to say who was attending the meeting, and let's add a property as well. So I added an element, added a property, added a relation, just some minor changes to the model. And what I want to do now is actually make that new version of the template. So I go back to my templates and I can just hit new template right here. And as you can see, it's determining the change log and it's auto-generated based on what I changed to the model. Just like that. And I can put a description. I already had my description from the start, otherwise it would be a bit too slow. I can just create my new template version. And as you can see, we have that auto-generated change log right here, telling us what was new, what was changed in the model per row. And I can still have my description for process changes.
Right. That's really cool and really helpful for the power users on the projects. But surely that cannot be it. That cannot be all, right? Is there anything else?
Yeah, sure. So apart from the auto-generated change log, we've actually, or my colleagues from development, I should say, has made more changes to the software as well. So let's say, for example, what has actually happened is that we've made Relatics templates work independently or work more independently from environments, and they've really upped the portability of working with templates. But as a consultant, I would like to work with examples. So let's say, for instance, I work at a normal construction company. We're already using Relatics, and we have a Relatics template where we standardize the systems engineering processes for our company. But we've had a few good years. We're doing good in business. So let's say we're trying to acquire a subsidiary company. Now, this subsidiary company also manages construction projects, but they already have their own Relatics environment. So what I want to show you is that the thing that our developers created is the ability to be able to download Relatics template files and actually upload them in a separate environment, ensuring that the subsidiary company can actually work according to the same Relatics template that the parent company has, apart from Relatics environment. So I'll move back to Relatics. So let's move back to my development workspace. And again, this is the same workspace which you saw previously. I go back to the templates, and let's take this version 1.1. I can actually download that version, and it's downloading on the background. And what I can do is I go back to the environment and I actually switch to my new environment. So this is a separate environment. Let's say this is the Relatics environment for the subsidiary company. And I can actually go to the environment administration, go to workspaces, and I have the ability to create a new workspace based on a template file. So let's call this a new infrastructure project, where I want to use a Relatics template from my other environment. I can upload the file, as you can see right here, upload it, create the workspace, and now the workspace is being created based upon the template I got from the other environment. It's of course a good practice to give myself access to this environment and make myself power user. And now I have this new infrastructure project, which I can of course go into. And as you can see, it has the same model based on the template from the other environment. And you can see that it's attached to that template as well. And we can see it in the settings as power user as well. So it's now attached to the 1.1 version template of the other environment.
Wow, very cool. So in a few minutes, you just set up a completely new workspace in a completely new environment without doing any modeling whatsoever.
Exactly.
Great. But what if the environment administrator makes some changes in the type model? How do you update it then? Because it's in two separate environments, no?
Yeah. No, we kind of expected this question, of course. So let's say I want to update this template to the newest version. So again, I'll move back to the Relatics. Just a quick overview. So let's say I am in the first environment. I can simply go back to my development workspace, pick the version I want to use, download that version. So in this case, this is the 1.2 version of that template. So I download that version as an RCST file, so a template file, and I can go back to the other environment and go back to that infrastructure project. And if I go into the settings and template subscription, I can actually upload a template right here. So I can upload that second version. You can actually get a preview of that version, so you can see that change log to know what has changed. You can read the description to find out which processes have changed. And if I'm sure I want to update, I can just hit apply changes. I'll get a warning message, of course, because you're going to update the template. Then just upload it, or update it, I'm sorry. And voila, we are now on the newest version of the template.
All right, wait a second. So this works really smoothly. There must be a catch somewhere. Like, what if the Relatics environments are on different versions of the software?
There's actually no catch. So this is something very important I want to add to the explanation of working with templates, or the new version that we're going to release. So it's not a problem anymore to have a template, or starting from version 6.6, I have to say, but it will not be a problem anymore to have a workspace file or a template file. So both the workspace file, the RCS, and the template file, the RCST, to have them on an older version than the version of the actual environment. So you can actually upload workspaces from an older version starting from 6.6. And the same goes for the template files as well. So you'll be able to archive project workspaces and also archive template versions and then upload them at a later stage, independently of the version that the workspace or the environment has.
Amazing. Thank you, Ruben.
No problem.
So you heard it. Templating has received lots of love, which empowers you to be even more in control or on top of your projects. And you see with templates, it's very straightforward to exchange that with one another. However, making the right decisions in the model is not always as straightforward. So if you struggle with that, stay tuned, hold that thought, because we will present you with something to help you in that angle as well. Now, first on to the next topic, dashboards. Because, of course, Relatics brings you insight into your project complexity. For that, we have tables, we have views, we have use cases that help you as good as possible to get the answers to the question you might have. However, some questions simply require a more visual answer. And so our developers have taken the word visual very literally and brought you dashboards. Isn't that right, Martin?
Yeah, that's correct, Sebastian. You can imagine that an average construction project is constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. Not a single day is the same. And a lot of project information is constantly generated. And as a project team, you often have the need to understand the current status of the project, but you also want to know how your project is progressing in time. And just by looking at tables with data is of course helpful. If you go through your relationships, of course it gives you insight. But yeah, it's not always that easy, and sometimes a little bit time consuming. And sometimes you just want to have this insight with a single click of a button. Also to make sure nothing is being overlooked, and you take the right actions and the right measures at the right point in time. And especially in this data-driven era of today, you want to make as much data-driven decisions as possible. So that's why we introduced dashboards now in Relatics. I love data crunching myself as well. I love analyzing data, creating charts which really give you insight to your data. and I know this a lot of our customers also have this need. So I want to show you how it looks like now in Relatics. As you can see in the sidebar, you have a new button called Dashboards, and right there, it's a little bit similar like use cases. The power user can create basically an unlimited amount of dashboards. A dashboard can contain widgets or charts, let's say. And let me just now create one new widget from scratch to give you an idea how quickly you can do that. So I will choose for the population divider. I will explain later what the other widgets are exactly. And let me create a widget called requirements per type. So I choose my requirement type element from the list here. And I want to divide this population by the property type. And I want to make a bar visualization of it. And just clicking on create, the chart is made and it's automatically populated with the data. And now you can see there are in total 47 requirements. And this is how they are divided over the type property, so to say. Couple of things to mention. You can hover over each widget area, so to say. Then you also get an indication how many there are. And you can also click on it. If you click on it, you get a pop-up, which is basically a view-only pop-up. So you can see exactly those 15 system requirements in this case from a chart. And if you want to know more, or if you want to start working with this data, you can also hit this button, and then you're actually redirected to your all elements view, which is already filtered to those 15 system requirements. Let me go back because I already prepared a couple of other dashboards as well. And basically, the idea behind this is that each dashboard could contain should fulfill a certain predefined information need. So for example, if you have a weekly meeting with the whole project team, you can make a dashboard for that. I have another example of doing a verification analysis or to monitor the progress of your inspections, and they're all for a certain use case, so to say. And they're actually really intended to see to help you identify if there are any triggers in the project data that require you to take action, so to say. Well, let me go back to the weekly team meeting because I just want to explain what are the widgets that we have now currently in Relatics. There are 4 types, and you can see an example of each 4 of them here. Well, the first one is what we call a population divider. This is a similar one that we created from scratch earlier already. And well, the name basically says it divides your population based on either a property or a relation, like in this example, the executor relation of a verification. And you can choose to have a bar chart like the one we had before, or a donut like this example. The second one is what we call a top X list. It's not really a chart, but more, it can display either top 5 or a top 10 list of elements, and it's always based on a number property. So in this case, the risk score, and you can set it to be either ascending or descending. The third one are what we call indicators. This is basically one widget, but an indicator can contain up to 4 single digits, so to say. And this can either be a count, like this one, like how many actions there are in progress, but it can also be an average or a sum. But that counts actually basically for all the widgets. You can also filter the elements. So in this case, I only want to count the actions which have the status in progress. So you can really fine-tune your the information need that you have. Last but not least, this is actually quite a special widget type. It's a little bit different than the other three, because whereas the other three are always based on live data, this one, it's called the population in time widget. It's not only showing your live data, but it's also showing the historical data. So I can see here that today there are 44 open verifications, and there are 46 verifications which are either approved or rejected. And I can just go back in time and see exactly how it was in the past. So it's not only the current status of today, but also the progress in time, so to say. And the widget can support two populations, like here, so two different data sets, basically based on the same operator. And you can choose how you want the horizontal axis to look like. This one is a daily basis, but you can make it a weekly basis or a monthly basis as well. And you can either have a line chart like this one or a bar chart. So this is the 4 different widgets that we have. 2 more things to mention. As you can see, this is like a grid of 3 invisible columns, so to say. Each widget is either 1 column or 2 columns wide, based on the widget type and the settings of the widget. And the power user can just decide to drag them around and put them wherever he would like. And last but not least, something about the colors. You don't have to choose the colors of the widgets yourself. It's actually based on the color scheme of your environment. So I have here the Relatics corporate colors, but I also, if I go to the environment that Ruben just showed you as well, you can see here the exact same dashboards, but you can see the colors are automatically generated from the color scheme of the environment. So really cool.
All right. Thank you, Martin, for that. Some features need a lot of explanations and others speak for themselves, and I believe dashboarding to be one of the latter category. And I would like to encourage our viewers then as well to go play around with it and just experience how powerful this is. Now, we started off with a feature that we introduced quite recently, then we went on to a brand new feature, and now I would like to hark back to a feature that was there from the very beginning of Relatics 6. Because, Ruben, there is nothing more stressful than returning to a project after a few weeks holiday and first having to invest time and energy, maybe a full day, on catching up with your project members. I speak now from experience, but do you recognize this from practice with our users as well?
Yeah, of course. We recognize this as well. And as you said, what we did or what we had in Relatics 6 since the release over a year ago was a form of indicators showing you what had changed during the last time you were in your Relatics workspace. And that was actually the what's happened feature on a basic level. But what our developers have done is they've actually found a way to upgrade what's happened to an actual feature and to really upgrade it to a higher level that really makes it shine in the software. So I'd like to go to the Relatics and show you what's happened really is. So I'll go into the workspace that Martin has actually been using for his dashboards. And if I go into the workspace, I can notice a small icon right here at the top of the elements list. And that's your what's happened icon for the feature. This is something that's accessible for all users in the workspace, and you can turn it on or off on demand. So you click on it, and it shows you the indicators at the top left screen. Those are the indicators for what has changed today. And as you can see, it's 42, but it's actually a division of certain indicators on separate elements. So this allows you to focus on a certain part of your model or on a certain element to just see the changes of that element. And what's really cool is that I can actually look further back as well. So this was for today. So we have 42 changes for today, but I can look at the last 3 days. Apparently in the 3 days, it was 87 changes, and that's on top of the existing 42 changes. And for the last 7 days, the last 14 days, and even back onto the last 30 days. It really gives you a vision of what has changed in the workspace. And again, like the example that you gave us, let's say you've been on a long holiday and you just want to get a glimpse or get a feel of what has changed in the time that you were away. You have this ability of looking at what's happened in the last or up to the last 30 days. So you have a quick focus of what has changed, and you can go and zoom in on certain parts of what's happened in that time. And let's say I look at requirements. As you can see, you'll see some row indicators on the left here. I'll zoom in a bit. The green row indicators, and if you hover over a row indicator, you can actually see who edited this element and when that edit action was taken. So these row indicators give you a feel of what was actually changed. And of course, if you want to inspect it even further, then normally you would go to an element and then dive into the actual history. But this gives you a quick overview of what has changed on the on a higher level. It's a very complete functionality. You can of course get a feel of what has changed in that time. You can also view those row indicators on a tree view, so you can actually see in a structure which elements were changed during that time period that you selected. So if you go to today, normally if you activate what's happened, the standard feature will be on today, and you can change that to either 3 or 7 or 14 or 30 days, depending on what you want to see.
All right. Well, you really put it into perspective how hard our developers work on the software when you see how the software itself has evolved in quite a short time span. So in that sense, it's like watching a kid grow up, and it's amazing to see what has happened to what's happened. Now on to a point that I mentioned earlier, because I already teased it a little bit. But our developers are, of course, not the only ones working very hard to create treats for our users. Now, Ruben, I'm coming back to you because you're not only a consultant, but also a trainer. So tell us, what do you have for the users to help them make the right model decisions?
Yeah, so there have been some other developments as well. First off, let's keep the trainer part for after the first part, because I want to start with something else. I want to start with the release of systems engineering patterns that we provide on the Relatics website. So we'll move to the Relatics website, and if you go to resources and actually go to the knowledge base, what we did is we added the ability to find certain systems engineering design patterns. These are actually lessons learned from implementing Relatics for multiple clients, because of course we've done it time and again. But the idea is that we can give our clients suggestions on where to start with their model. So let's say they want to start with interfaces in Relatics, then they can find the patterns or the systems engineering patterns of interfaces on the website, and it gives you examples of how to implement or interfaces in your systems engineering model. Now again, these are suggestions because we absolutely don't want to dictate on how to build your system engineering model in Relatics. We want to give you that flexibility, but this is a nice place to start from. So it gives you some starting ideas. It helps you in the right frame of mind to start thinking about what you want for your system engineering model that really captures your processes for your company. So we have a lot of different design patterns. So as you can see, functions, risks, and even more. So you can just take a look on the website, just go to resources, knowledge base, and then you'll find all the design patterns or systems engineering patterns you can find. Now for the other part, so that's my trainer part, so to speak. In a previous webinar, we've already made a mention of the release of Relatics Essentials, so an online tutorial with videos and articles explaining you how to use separate functionalities or different features in Relatics 6 as a power user. What we've actually done is we've expanded on that. And if you move to the Academy on our website, you can now access the Relatics Advanced course. So these are videos and articles on features that you use as a power user to really make your systems engineering model as complete as possible. So it's really for the power users that want to have that online training with videos and articles. And the Essentials together with the Advanced basically give you a complete online training for clients that are not able to visit us in Ridderkerk to follow a classroom training. So it's really to offer that training to our clients online.
So you heard it. Whether you have years of experience modeling in Relatics or whether you're brand new, we make sure that you have the resources to make the right decisions for your model. Now, on to the next topic, because there is a saying that a picture says more than 1,000 words. So what our developers have done is improve the way images are handled in Relatics. Martin, no further introduction needed. Take it away.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you. Well, as you know, basically from the first release of Relatics 6, users were already able to upload physical files into Relatics. Those could be images, but also documents like PDF or Word files, for example. For the power users, there was like the attachment property, a data type, which allowed this. But up until now, this was purely a storage location, so to say. So you upload this file in this attachment data type, and then when you click on it, it would download again to your local computer. And the only thing you could see in Relatics was the file name and the extension, and that's it. So you had no indication what the file was actually about. So this is what we changed a little bit. I'll show you again. If I go over to inspections, then you can see that here's my list of inspections, and in the model it's decided that each inspection can have an image related to it. And as you can see already, immediately what we did now is we created a small thumbnail of this picture on both in the overview page or basically everywhere where you display this property. And it's also visible on the detail page. A little bit bigger on the detail page, a little bit smaller on the overview. Yeah, small enough not to mess up your overview page, but big enough for you to be able to recognize or identify the file that you're looking for. You can also click on it. It's also different. And instead of the picture being directly downloaded to your computer, you can now see a preview. You can zoom in, zoom out if you'd like, and you still have the option to download the image to your computer if you like. Well, so this is for images. The same works as well for PDF files, for example. So it's not necessary to completely download the PDF. In order to read it, you can just scroll through the preview in Relatics without downloading the actual file. And we'll also support some other file types in the future still. And last but not least, also quite cool, using the multi-select function, you can actually select multiple images, and you can just download it all at once. And then you get a zip file containing all those images that you downloaded. So also quite handy.
Indeed, some very handy improvements to images. However, there's one question that is burning right on the tip of my tongue. Martin, are we also able to get images into reports?
Yeah, you can. Now, indeed, up until today, you were not able to use the images that you had in Relatics, but right now you can. I have an example as well based on the inspection element. And here you can see all my inspections, but I also have a report which shows exactly the same data. It's a PDF report. And if I generate it, I just exit full screen. If I generate it, then there it is. There you can see that the report nicely shows all the images in the report. So that's quite cool, quite handy. We also did some other improvements to reports. This is in the top. We added 3 new parameters. One is the add the workspace, which gives the name of the workspace, in this case the Watergate Bridge. The second one is the project date time parameter, which gives the date and the time on the moment that you generate the report. And the last one is add user, which displays the person who generated this report. One final added bonus, because I've shown you before the dashboarding and the widgets in Relatics, and how cool would it be if you could also now include those charts in your report. And it's possible now, and it makes it extremely powerful. For example, if you want to create a report for corporate management, or if you want to create a certain baseline report. And I also want to show you how it's done. Like most power users of Relatics probably know, is that the whole look and feel and the structure of a report is decided in Microsoft Word. So, I have to be here. So you have like a Word template dictating how your report looks like. So I'll open this one. And as you're used from, oh yeah, by the way, I first want to still show I forgot earlier. Here you can see those 3 parameters that I was talking about before. And here you can also see the small piece of syntax that we added, which allows you to output the images. But I was talking about the charts. So if you want to include a chart, you just start in Word, like you used to from us. So you just use the native functionality of Word to insert a chart. Here it is. I will go for the donut chart. There it is. And basically the only thing you have to do now is to add a little bit of magic from Relatics. I will go to my inspection dashboard, which is here. And let me say that I want this chart also in my report. But you can do this by opening the menu here and to copy the report script. I'll do that. I'll just open Notepad to give you an idea how that looks like. This is basically the script behind such a widget. And I will just copy a few of those rows and insert it into my report. You don't have to remember exactly how you have to do this. It will be, of course, explained in our help documentation. So this is just an example. Basically, each chart in Word has an Excel spreadsheet underneath, and if you know where you have to put in those pieces of script, then you can just build it up. This is basically all I have to do. I will save the Word document again. I can close it. And now if I go back to Relatics and I replace my old version and I'll upload the new one, you can see if I update it and if I now run it, that the chart will be included in the reports, of course. Here it is. So if I scroll to the bottom, you can see that the chart is automatically being populated by the data from Relatics. So it's pretty cool. You can still, of course, add data labels like percentages or numbers, but you can just do it in Word like you used to. And that's basically the only thing you have to do. Some few points to mention though. We have 4 different widgets in Relatics. This obviously works for those widgets that really contain a graphical chart. So those are the population divider and the population in time widget, which have a corresponding equivalent in Microsoft Word. So it's either a line, a bar, or a donut chart. Again, you can find exactly the steps you have to follow and the syntax that we use in our help documentation. And last but not least, what's also nice to mention is you might know that you can generate a report back in time. So you can choose a date and a time, and then the report will be populated with the data on that exact moment. And what is really nice is that it also works for charts. So you will see the chart exactly with the data on the time that you've chosen. So that makes it really a really powerful feature.
Awesome. Thank you, Martin, and thank you to our development team. Well, this goes to show that features do not always have to be very big and flashy to have a big impact on your project and your Relatics experience. Now, of course, the focus of the webinar series is on Relatics 6. However, this does not mean that we forget to give Relatics 5 the attention that it deserves, because it has served us well and is still serving us very well. So, Ruben, maybe you can tell our viewers at home what our developers have improved on Relatics 5.
Yeah, so there are a couple of Relatics 5 improvements, and I'll just show them via slides. So we'll start with the ability to add owners to the workspace on an environment studio level. So this allows you to select owners from either the workspace point of view, so the detail page of a workspace, or the user's point of view. And this makes it possible to select owners across multiple workspaces at the same time. This is, of course, very handy if you have a new power user or something like that, that you have to make owner of all workspaces, things like that. So that's a cool improvement, and I'll move back a bit because we skipped one. But we've actually also made a performance enhancement, or I should say my colleagues from development, or our colleagues, have made a performance enhancement of browse history. So browse history in Relatics 5 should work a lot faster than you are used to. Still something very handy. And the last improvement that we made is that they've improved web services on the client side to be able to communicate via Microsoft Graph API framework. So this allows you to use Microsoft Graph API on client web services in Relatics 5.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruben.
You're welcome.
So with that, I think that was it for today. Almost 45 minutes on the clock to the dot. And that wraps up our first episode of 2025 of Relatics What's New. Now, if this went all a little bit too fast, maybe for you, don't worry. Again, you can check out all our episodes of Relatics What's New on our YouTube channel. Furthermore, later today, we will release the release notes with all the exact changes. So what we presented today, but also a little bit more on top what we couldn't discuss today. Also marking your agendas, April 3rd, because that's when the next episode will be, and you can stay in touch with us by following us on LinkedIn. Yeah, that was it. I would like to thank the people backstage. I would like to thank my colleagues here, and I would definitely like to thank you, the viewer at home. So thank you for your time, thank you for your attention, and see you 3rd of April. Bye-bye.